It's a sunny day in Kabini. We are on a safari jeep on the southern part of Nagarhole National Park on the banks of Kabini River. With many villages on the other side, Kabini plays the role of border between the wild and human habitats here. And as they say, Kabini didn't let us down as well. We met a beautiful tiger on the move, an elephant family, and many other animals and birds. A motorcycle ride of roughly 220 kilometers from Bengaluru took us to the banks of Kabini. We stayed at Kabini River Lodge by Jungle Lodges and Resorts. Said to be the former hunting lodge of Maharaja of Mysore, this place is beautifully located on the river banks with farming villages on the other side. The jeep safari started right after lunch. Cruising through the village settlements on both sides, it took us hardly 25 minutes to reach the entry point of Nagarhole National Park. There was a herd of a few spotted deer grazing right across the border between the forest and the villages. But that was only the beginning, as we were about to figure out that the spotted deer are in abundance in these forests. The forest is visibly dry now, but the birds are keeping it alive with their never ending songs and colors. The Mysore Manadavadi road cuts right through the national park, and soon we took a left into the dense forest. Immediately after that, we got a quick glance of a sambar deer and a small group of peahens by a waterhole. Our guides turned the vehicle towards the river banks. The reason for coming here was because they were sure about the presence of a female tiger around. But luck was not on our side that day, but instead we got the heavenly sight of a huge herd of spotted deer grazing by the banks of Kabini. The communication between the guides is very important in these forests. The information they pass each other mostly leads to a sighting, could be a group of wild boars, a serpent eagle, or even a big cat or an elephant. One thing I noticed here is that our guide was someone who loved his job. He showed us a magpie robin, a drongo, and a tiger with equal enthusiasm. And this time we were lucky enough to get information about an elephant sighting. We went right across the banks of Kabini, chasing the chance to witness the largest land animal in her home. She is most probably going into the jungle after having water, and that means we are late. But from this far, to see her guiding her baby, it was such a sight. They stopped for a while, sensing the movements around, and left slowly in no hurry. Different areas in the forest are divided into zones. From one zone to the other, the safaris go if there is a new sighting. We are now on to a different zone as the guides were expecting to spot some big cats. We halted at different locations and carefully, with the guidance, observed the alarm calls and waited. The forest was dry, and through the dryness from the jungle, she appeared right in front of us. This is Magge, and this beautiful tigress is named after a village nearby. She was clearly on business and she went on with that with her long tail hanging behind her. She took her time but did not waste any, and according to our guides, she's on for a hunt and she got cubs to feed. On our way back, we met a family of spotted deer hanging out with langurs, an arrangement to the advantage of both species. Day 1 of the safari was over by then, and we went back to our resort. The satisfaction of getting to see these animals in the forest was unparalleled. The next morning, we headed towards the boating area. It's time for a boat safari in Kabini in the early morning. The sun was still not up completely. The villages on the other side were slowly getting up after a cold night. One of the major tributaries of the river Kaveri, Kabini, is known as Kapila here. Rich with bird life, the early morning visuals of the Kabini River and the river banks were so majestic. I was struggling with the camera as the boat was not stable. Of course, we are on the water and it is difficult to keep the zoom lens from shaking from this distance. And this is a paradise for water birds. With the availability of fish and all the waterborne creatures, these birds are thriving happily here. Sunning on a perch, this oriental darter is way similar to cormorants, as they all hunt fish while the body is submerged in water. These birds are mostly spotted on perches near water bodies with the wings held open to dry. Following an alarm call, we went right to the banks of the river, but there was no luck. But there were many deer and sambas had already started grazing and their daily routine. There was no luck to spot any elephants on the banks of Kavani today. But on the way back, we got to see a family of otters catching fish, twisting, turning, and rolling. It was a one-day package with jungle lodges and resorts. With the sightings of the tiger, elephant, and the beautiful animals of Nagarhole, we went back to Bangalore hoping to return soon.